It creates this residue in your brain. I'm speaking metaphorically here. Guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara East. I'm a scholar, writer, YouTuber, and the author of the mystery novel Every Time He Dies. The reason why I wanted to make this video today is because there's so much murkiness around our daily routines at the moment, and it's been like that for a while, and it's probably going to stay like that for a while. So I wanted to talk about what are some really simple strategies you can use to really create some clear boundaries around your creative practice to ensure that you actually get some words done and that you don't give into the messiness of life right now. Because so many of us are working at really odd hours because we're working from home, so we kind of can work whenever we want. We can start when we want, we can end when we want, more or less, and there's this incredible flexibility, which is really freeing in so many ways. And yet at the same time, when there's almost no boundaries and all this flexibility, it can actually also mean that we just don't really achieve the things we want to achieve, and we maybe become a bit lazy. And for some people, this lack of external pressure can mean that it's so easy to procrastinate and to lack motivation. All right, so let's get into the steps. The first step in crafting a strong writing routine is to consider your environment. So if your desk is really cluttered, please take the time to clear it before you get into your writing session. Now, maybe you're one of those people that really thrives on chaos. I am not. But if you are, then, well, maybe you're perfectly okay with working in a messy atmosphere. But if you're like me and you're not, then I highly recommend that you take the time to actually tidy your desk so that it is visually pleasing. Make it nice to look at. You're going to be working here for a while. So pack up any excess books, paperwork, diaries, pens, put everything in its place, give the desk a little wipe down, and make sure that it's all ready to go for when you start your writing session. Now, some other things you can do here are open the window. Consider which direction your desk is facing in. Do you have a pleasant view? Would you like to light a candle or put on some incense or some kind of aroma like that? Maybe you want to make yourself a cup of tea. At the very least, you're going to want to fill up your water bottle. And something I definitely recommend is listening to white noise loops. So you can find a whole range of tracks at the website Ambient Sound Mixer. Some of my favorites are actually Sherlock Holmes' Apartment, and then you can even listen to a Ravenclaw Common Room, a Gryffindor Common Room, or you can even listen to rain track sounds, which are just literally the sound of rain falling. Now, what happens when you listen to these white noise loops is that it actually changes your brain into a state so that you're better able to concentrate and you're less likely to give in to distraction. Before you begin your writing session, make sure that you have all of the equipment necessary and that you actually feel comfortable. Turn on the air conditioner, turn on the heater or the fan, open a window, fill up your water bottle. Make sure that you have all of the pens, paper, books, and reference materials that you need during this session. If you set yourself up in the beginning this way, you can avoid and eliminate all possible distractions, all needs to get up and go and find this or that or mess around when you should actually just be writing. Now, the second thing you need to consider is your goals. Writers need to create daily, weekly, or even monthly or quarterly goals as a way to track their progress. The way I see goals is that you have your big goal that you're working towards, and then you have all of the little goals that lead up to the major goal. And in this way, you're able to actually track your progress. Now, the whole thing about a goal is that it needs to be specific. It needs to have a deadline, and it needs to be measurable. What your goal is and how you're going to track your progression towards it is going to change for every writer. What your goal is and how you're going to track your progression towards it is going to change for every writer. For the sake of ease, let's just say that your goal is to write a novel. The first thing you need to do is decide when you want this novel to be completed by. Let's say you're going to give yourself 3 months to write the first draft. Great. Now you have a date and you have a goal. You know what you're working towards. But how are you going to track this progression? Are you going to aim to write for an hour every day, Monday to Friday? Or do you want to have a word count goal where you shoot for 500, 1,000, 2,000 words per day, Monday to Friday? Or maybe you prefer to work in pages. Let's say that you want to write 3 pages every day. Or maybe you'd rather do a binge session once a week where you work for 4 hours on a Saturday morning. The important thing to remember here is that every writer is different. Some writers prefer to work in little bits but regularly, so they might write 500 words every single day. And another writer might prefer to do one massive writing session once a week or once a fortnight. These are the sort of things you're not going to learn about yourself as a writer until you've been practicing for a while, so please be patient with yourself. The third thing you need to know while designing your ultimate writing routine is what are your optimum working hours? Now, what I mean by optimum working time is what is the time or times of day where you feel most energetic, most refreshed, most clear-headed. Now, some people are obviously morning people, whether they start at 4 a.m. or 8 a.m., and other writers really find that they don't wake up until the afternoon or even into the evening. Now, you probably already know whether you're a morning person or an afternoon or even an evening person. And if you do, this means that you can then look at your schedule and make time during those optimum working hours to ensure that you're actually getting some writing done when you are feeling your best. My fourth tip for creating an ideal writing routine is to combine the Pomodoro technique with rewards. For those who haven't heard of the Pomodoro technique, it's really simple. Basically, you just set a timer for 25 minutes and you write in a fever until the buzzer goes off. When the buzzer does go off, you give yourself a 5-minute break to go and do a completely unrelated task, and then you return to your desk and you go for another 25 minutes. Rinse and repeat until your writing session is done. The whole idea behind the Pomodoro technique is that it's much more effective to work at a very intense, focused level for 25 minutes than it is to sort of have this loose structure around your work, whether that's writing or any other computer or work-related tasks. By setting a timer, opening your Word doc, and getting to work, there is this sort of external pressure of knowing that you only have a limited amount of time in which to complete this task. And it really helps eliminate all of those temptations to distract yourself or to procrastinate with things like social media, email, or anything else. Now, something that I do want to say is that during your 5-minute break, make sure that you get up and do a task that is completely unrelated to your writing. However, do not check your email or your social media. Now, the reason why you're not going to check email or social media is because it is unlikely that you're going to be able to reply to an email or reply to a comment on social media within that 5-minute period. And now what will happen is if you open an email and you read it and your 5 minutes is up and then you go back to your Pomodoro session, it creates this residue in your brain. I'm speaking metaphorically here. And when you go back to your writing session, part of your brain is still going to be thinking about how to reply to that email or how to reply to that tweet rather than focusing on your writing. So during that 5-minute break, try and do something that's away from your computer. Walk around your room, go to the bathroom, go get a glass of water, go pat your dog, something like that. And then come back to your writing session and your brain will actually be refreshed rather than just cycling through all this other information, all this new information that it would have learned had you opened an email or gone on social media. Now, the second half of this fourth step is all about rewards. So how I track my Pomodoro sessions is that I put a little gold star sticker in my diary every time I complete a writing session. So you can kind of see those there. Now, if you're the kind of person who's really into bullet journaling, you could track your sessions kind of like this in the little grid, or you can track them in an Excel spreadsheet. Now for me, putting a gold sticker in my diary is simple and it does actually feel like a little reward. But perhaps you want to do something a little bit more elaborate, like watch a 5-minute YouTube video, listen to a song, read a couple of pages out of a book that you're really enjoying right now. If your reward is bigger like that, then I recommend that you indulge once you've completed your entire writing session rather than between Pomodoro sessions. Now, the 5th step involved in creating an ideal writing routine is to consider what is a tiny but meaningful goal you could create to have in your back pocket on bad writing days. So for brevity, let's call this the bad day goal. A bad day may be a bad day for a variety of reasons. Maybe you've overscheduled yourself, you've got back-to-back deadlines, back-to-back meetings, you have all of these errands that you have to run because you've been putting them off for like a month. Or maybe you're having a really bad day emotionally or mentally. Maybe you're burnt out. Maybe you're stressed out. Maybe you just kind of need a break. So on these bad days, what is a goal you can have for yourself that feels totally achievable, but still meaningful? So here's some examples. Maybe on a really bad day, it still feels possible for you to write 1 bad sentence or 2 bad sentences. Or maybe you could write 50 words. Or maybe you could sit down and do a 5-minute outline for the next scene that you plan to write. When you have these sort of mini achievable goals, it helps to avoid throwing in the towel on those bad days. When we feel overscheduled or when we feel stressed out, it's just too easy to say, I just don't have time for writing today. And we throw in the towel and we give up. But by having a bad day writing goal, it means that you can still have that sense of achievement. Maybe you didn't write 500 words today, but you still made the effort to show up and to do something on your project. So there you have it. Those are my 5 steps for creating an ideal writing routine that is supportive, but also really simple and doable. Now I'd love to hear from you. What do your writing sessions look like? What kind of rules do you have around your writing sessions? And how do you track your progress? And even what is your goal right now? Please leave a comment below and tell me all about it. Now, if you'd like even more writing advice, you can head to taraeast.com. There are over 150 blogs on the website, so I'm sure there'll be something there to answer any question you have around writing, motivation, time management, and inspiration. Thank you so much for watching again this week, guys. Stay happy, stay safe, and keep writing. And I'll see you next week.